The following program is brought to you in part by Time Warner Cable and the Madison County School System.
Hi, I'm Samantha Burford with Madison County School Sports Television, here today with head coach John Clark.
And I'm here to tell you to watch Madison County School Sports Television.
This programming is sponsored by State Farm Insurance, Jerry Goebel in Richmond, Luxury Pet Service, Richmond, Premier Rehab in Gibson Bay, CSEP, Madison County EMA.net, Davenport Custom Guitars, Richmond, Richmond Tourism, Time Warner Cable, Madison County Schools, ScenicCabin.com, Faith Created Assembly of God Church, and Tatum Enterprises. This program is sponsored by First Gear in downtown Richmond and ProSigns in Southern Hills Plaza.
Welcome to the Coach John Clark Show. Welcome back to the Coach John Clark Show. I'm Samantha Burford, here of course with Madison Southern's head coach John Clark. We are at Jack Burford Chevrolet today again we want to thank them for hosting our coaches shows, and I think it's not as dusty as it was the last time.
There's a ceiling in now.
There's a ceiling.
Progress.
It's here. Maybe next week when we're here after the Pulaski County game, we'll have a floor in.
It reminds me of our program. It's slowly coming along.
Slowly progressing. Yeah. Exactly. That's perfect. Perfect. All right. So Southwestern, what a great game and a big start to the game.
It was. 2
big plays right there at the beginning. Tell us about it.
I like it when the game starts that way.
I know it. It was exciting.
We kicked off. We kicked a surprise onside kick, recovered it right away, and scored on the next play. Can't really start a game any better than that. And then they returned a kickoff for a touchdown on a reverse.
Right.
Didn't like that, but then I liked the way we responded and went down and scored again. So it was an exciting early start to the game. It really was.
Right. And, I mean, the fans were all there. It was, I mean, they were behind you. I think this is one of the best football seasons that they've ever seen in a long time.
This is, we're 6-0. It's the third time Madison Southern has ever sat in this position. In 2002, the team started 8-0, I think it was, before losing to Breathitt, a really good Breathitt team that went on to win the state championship.
Right.
And then in 2005, they started 6-0, lost game 7 and 8 that year. So, we're starting to get into some uncharted waters a little bit, and it's exciting.
That's the word I was going to use.
When you can hit 6-0, and I really think the 7th game is a defining game in any program. For a program to hit 7-0, it's very difficult to do. Typically, any time in that point, you're going to hit a team that is better or a game you don't play well. So the 7-0 mark, to me, really tells you where you are as a program. But the 6-0 was a big mark, too.
Right. Well, and we'll go eventually at the end of the show and talk about the next game to get to your 7-0. So that's going to be a big game. So we'll get to that. Let's just start right off with the first quarter. I mean, Damian Harris had 3 touchdowns first quarter. How much better does it get?
Well, we scouted them well. We knew what they were going to do to us defensively. They did what we thought we'd do. We had our answer for it, and it worked. Right. And it worked until it didn't. So we scored on 2 of the 3 plays were the same play in the first half, in the first quarter that we scored on. So they were giving us what we thought would be there. It took them a little while to adjust, so we took advantage of it while we had the opportunity.
Right. What did you think about your offense? I mean, like you said, it was exactly what you expected on the other team. I asked you that at halftime.
Yeah.
Are they doing exactly as you expect?
Exactly.
You
And
said
what it
yes.
is we've been running the ball really well outside on the edges.
Mm-hmm.
So teams are widening their play. And we're scouting it pretty well, and we know that's coming. So the answer to a team that plays you wide is run where? Inside.
Right.
So we ran in A gaps, and they weren't really prepared for that, and we took advantage of that until they closed down A gaps again, and then we went back outside a little bit. So,
right.
It sounds complicated sometimes, the chess match, but it's really not. You got to get a hat on a hat. It's 11 versus 11. You got to win those one-on-one battles, and you run where they're not. When you run the ball, you throw where they're not. Take what they're giving you, and we did a really good job of doing that Friday night. We took what they gave us.
What do you want to talk at all about their first touchdown? I mean, what did you guys do wrong?
Well, go back and watch film. We're in our lanes. It was a reverse on a kickoff return.
Right.
Guys have lanes they have to keep down the field. If everybody starts to bunch together, you give them the problems. We're actually in our lanes.
Right.
We just weren't aware that the ball was coming our way.
Right.
So he ran by us before we even realized.
Right.
So that's just, I think that's the first time we've ever seen a reverse kickoff return against us. They ran it again. We were prepared for it. So I'm actually glad that happened, because now moving forward down the
Right.
road, our kids have seen it now, so it won't be the first time. And every time you've seen it once, if you learn from it,
Right. They'll
you're
be prepared.
Okay. That's exactly right. So I'm really glad we saw that, actually.
What do you want to talk about, Damien? Do you want to talk about Linville's touchdown in the second quarter? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, we threw the ball well in the first half. The pass game was there. We ended up 6 for 7 for, I think, 61 yards and 2 touchdowns is what Aaron Sloan's stats were. We knew the pass game was there. We used it periodically throughout the night, but we didn't really need it.
Mm-hmm.
We felt like we probably could have thrown for 300 yards in our pass game plan. We just didn't need it because the run game was hitting so well as well. So, but Devontae had a nice catch in the front of the goal line on a post route there in the first half. I was glad to see him get a touchdown. That's a guy who works his butt off for our program. He's been moved around from receiver to quarterback to receiver to quarterback. He's starting to get comfortable at wide receiver again, and he's
Right.
playing better now.
And he adapts well to the position.
He really does. I mean, you wouldn't think that he was our quarterback 3 weeks ago, but he was. And that was
Right.
only 3 weeks ago still. You
yeah.
really look back, that was 3.5, 4 weeks ago that he was still our quarterback.
Right.
So it takes some time, but line protection was a lot better. It's been an emphasis for us. The O-line's getting better in protecting right now. We just played a pretty good football game, to be honest. And I mean, Damien, I thought this was one of his best running games yet. I thought this and Madison Central were 2 games where he really ran very physical. There were some highlights in this game where he picks up 10 yards just running people over. So we've known he's capable of it. He hadn't really had to do it that often. And he showed that he's more. This was the most carries he's had in a game. He had 29 carries.
Oh, okay. I did not know
That's
that
the
statistic.
most. 29 carries for 274 yards, 4 touchdowns. It's the
Yeah,
most.
because he had 200 yards just in the first quarter.
Well,
I
and
think.
that's the most carries he's had in a game, and he didn't even play the fourth quarter.
Right.
So we were able to grind out some good long drives, and that typically isn't the case in our offense. So they did a nice job of tackling him at second and third level and containing him once he picked up his 15. But obviously he's still going to get his yardage.
Right. What did you think about the defense, other than that, the touchdown that they scored? What were you happy with it?
They never scored on our defense.
Right.
I mean, our defense didn't give up a point the whole game.
Right.
We created 5 turnovers, and on the flip side, we only gave up 150 yards to their offense. So.
Yeah. Sean and I were talking about that before you got here tonight, how your defense just really stopped them.
Extremely
Didn't let 'em
underrated,
score
and
at
I
all.
like it that way. People are worried about the Damian Harris show. They're not worried about that blue swarm defense out there, and don't let the word out quite yet. We want to surprise a few more people with them.
Right. Well, let's take a break real quick, and then we'll get back and we'll talk about the second quarter, and we'll talk about some halftime stuff.
Sounds great.
Okay.
This program is sponsored by Jack Burford Chevrolet, right here in Richmond. And by Clayton Homes in Richmond on Big Hill Avenue. You're watching Madison County School Sports Television, home of the greatest announcers around. This programming is sponsored by State Farm Insurance, Jerry Goble in Richmond, Luxury Pet Service, Richmond, Premier Rehab in Gibson Bay, CSEP, Madison County EMA.net, Davenport Custom Guitars, Richmond, Richmond Tourism, Time Warner Cable, Madison County Schools, ScenicCabin.com, Faith Created Assembly of God Church, and Tatum Enterprises.
Hello everyone, I'm Madison County School Superintendent Elmer Thomas, and I want to thank you for watching Madison County School Sports Television.
Follow Madison County School Sports Television on Twitter, or like us on Facebook, MCS TV, and of course, watch all of our videos on YouTube.
Welcome back to the Coach John Clark Show. I'm Samantha Burford, here of course with John Clark. I think I say that every time, because you better be here, right?
That's my name.
It's your show. You better be here.
That's it. I got to be here.
You could send your brother probably, and we'd probably would we know?
I'll tell him you said that. Do people know
the difference?
You'd be surprised the number of, it's funny you say that. People come up to him every Friday night and try to talk to him like the officials and stuff, and then they're like, hey, wait a minute. And he's like, no, you want to go talk to him.
Yeah, it happens. Listen, when I'm out there for halftime,
That's funny you said that.
I see him, and sometimes I'm like, oh, wait.
Yeah, he's the slightly taller, skinnier version of me.
Well, I just kind of watch your hat and see where you go.
That's funny, yeah. A lot of
usually
people,
you're wearing the orange hat.
You know, he's 5 years older than me, and everybody thinks we're twins.
Well, you do, because you guys do.
Please tell me he looks young.
Yes.
All right, moving on to the second half.
There we go. No, they do. They look a lot alike, and I'm sure the fans know that too.
Yep.
So, but we're happy to have you back, and we're happy to have you here with us. I think we've wrapped up the first quarter and the second quarter. Let's talk about halftime. What'd you say to the men to keep them enthusiastic going into the
Well, we were
second half?
excited. I mean, they're the best 0-6 team I'd ever faced. They were big up front. I mean, 300 pounds across the board. It's tough to move guys that size. Right before halftime, their defense made an adjustment. They brought their DNs down into what's called a double eagle front, where they cover up the center and both guards.
Right.
That's tough to run on, especially when you're as big as they are. So that slowed down the run game a little. We made adjustments at halftime to clean up some things, and then the second half came out and scored on the first series.
Right.
Because we fixed those mistakes we had. Defensively, I can't say enough about our defense. Tyler Hagan, all over the football field. He had an interception. He had fumble recovery. I mean, he's just all over the place. I think he ended up with 13 tackles, somewhere around there. Aaron Sipple's right on his heels with 10 tackles. They're sitting at like 60 on the season for Aaron. Tyler's sitting there at 55. I mean, they're tackling machines. Hagan had a really nice sack in the second half where he just absolutely put one on the quarterback. D-line played well. Our secondary is improving. I just can't say enough about our defense. And one thing worth mentioning in the second half, John Lamb is doing an outstanding job punting for us. Pinned them inside their 10-yard line twice, put one of them right on the goal line if we were so close to keeping it in.
Yeah.
But he's doing an outstanding job. I think he's averaging around 45 yards a punt, and he's pinning people inside their goal lines. So we haven't given up more. I think on the entire season we've given up 3 return yards in the punt game.
Wow.
And if we're punting 45 yards a punt, that's half the field and change of field position. So he's a big part of what we're doing right now. So I'm really
And
really
what year
proud
is
of
he?
him. John is a junior, so we'll have him next
That's
back
great.
next year. He's a great
You're
athlete,
going to have
too.
such a great team next
He's
year.
a
Again,
great athlete.
I mean, it's going to just continue. So
Yeah, we're going to lose a few guys, but like last year we lost a few guys, and that's part of a
Well,
program.
it's expected.
And our JV's sitting there at 4-1 right now. They're playing very well, so those guys become your varsity guys down the road. So
did you have a JV game, freshman game this week?
We did. We played JV on Monday. We played Pulaski on Monday. Or I'm sorry, that's this week. I'm a week behind.
Right.
Last week the JV played Southwestern.
Oh, okay.
Beat them at their place 36-0, and then our freshmen went on the road Thursday and beat Montgomery County 40-6. So both teams did very well.
And Montgomery County that's usually a good football team as well. So
they are,
that's
and our
just
freshmen's drastically improving. When you have feeder middle schools, kids come from different programs and stuff, and it takes a while for them to really mesh and figure out what's going on. And football is an 11-man sport. I think basketball with 5, it's a little easier to merge them. When you're talking 11, there's a lot more moving parts in that whole system. So Takes a little longer, but they're picking up and things are going well. And then our JV played Pulaski again this past Monday and won in overtime, 30-24. So our young guys are doing a good job.
Right.
They got to play a little in the fourth quarter. Played a lot of young guys in the fourth quarter. Drove the ball down the field real nicely.
Right.
Got some young guys in on defense in the second half. Our defensive coordinator Kevin Kling does such a great job with our defense. I know he's all about the shutouts constantly, and the defense gets a little nervous when we start subbing guys in sometimes because they want that shutout. But for us to not give up a point to their offense was a pretty big deal for us.
Exactly. Well, and you talk about the fourth quarter. Even as a fan, it was a little different watching the fourth quarter, and I couldn't wait to ask you your thoughts on the fourth quarter because it seemed like a different ball team. With putting in the subs. And it just seemed a little slower play.
It is, but we still moved the ball. I think Alex Lane was in at running back. I think he had 6 carries for 68 yards. We marched the ball down the field nicely. Tried to throw a couple times down there on the goal line. Didn't convert real well. Chose to kick a field goal there at the end of the game. Our kicker has not been in a position to call a timeout, make him kick a field goal and end the game like that. So we used that as a teaching experience where we called the timeout. Tried to put a little pressure on him in the huddle. Said you better hit this, and then stuck him out there. I was proud of him coming through with that field goal, and he's improving as well. So, I thought overall the way the second half went was great. If we can come out and receive the ball in the second half and go down and drive and score, and then get a stop on defense and score, you're in control of the game now.
Right.
And that's something that's hard sometimes, especially if you're in the lead, because teams tend to lull, and we've done that in the past. So Lane had a good run in the fourth quarter. That was about a 50-some-odd yard.
Okay, run. That's what it is.
That's what it was. Okay. And that's Alex Lane. He's a senior.
Lane.
Typically, he plays corner and receiver. We've started to transition him in at running back a little bit. We're trying to get to where we have 4 or 5 guys that can tote the rock for us, and we're getting to that point right now with Tyler Hagan, Damian, Casey Dion, Alex Lane, and then we have a youngin in Peyton Skidmore, who's just a sophomore that does the work for us on the JV level, and he's still growing. He's only about 140 pounds right now, so we're not ready to kind of throw him to the wolves yet, but he's improving.
Okay, yeah, because right there near the end of the game, going back to Lane, when he the long run, then he got it that didn't go in, and then he got it to the 1 yard line.
Yeah, we tried to pound it at him a little. We had some young linemen in there, and they had some 300-pounders in there, and we weren't getting the push we were getting in the early in the game.
Yes, and I told the staff, I told all of us, I was like, he won't be happy with this.
Well, and I knew that. I mean, when your guard's 210 pounds and their D tackle's 300, that's going to happen right now. We had some younger guys in there that aren't quite physically ready yet, or they'd be starting. But they will be down the road. That's when we decided to go ahead and roll out and throw. We false started. That's what I wasn't happy about.
Right.
Lane, our tailback Alex Lane, was leaning forward, and they called him on the motion.
Okay.
And that was a false start. And then on the next play, we had the slant in the end zone. We just we overthrew it, and we gave up pressure inside. Gonna give up pressure when you're losing 800 or 80 pounds to a guy on the line. So would have liked to have scored, but still was proud of him moving the ball.
Okay.
Considering they were outweighed by almost half of me on the way down there. So, yeah.
Well, we were all talking about it, and we were like, I can't wait to hear what he says about
there
that.
were actually some really good things in that series that I was happy to see. So I wasn't too upset about it.
Well, they got it to the 1 yard line.
Yeah, they moved the ball.
They did.
They moved the
ball.
ball.
They got it there. It just didn't go over.
Which was good.
All right. Well, let's take a break. See, I told you, I took lots of notes. I couldn't type as fast as as you guys were doing it.
That makes sense.
I might get a few of the names wrong. So,
okay.
All right. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. I'm Madison County Schools Superintendent Elmer Thomas, and I want to thank you for watching Madison County School Sports Television.
Follow Madison County School Sports Television on Twitter. Or like us on Facebook, MCS TV. And of course, watch all of our videos on YouTube. This program is brought to you by Hopper's Jewelry, off the EKU Bypass in Richmond.
Natural hazards can be scary, especially for kids. We count on the adults in our lives to help keep us safe. That's why there's a website that can show you and your family how to prepare for all kinds of hazards. You can learn what to do during disasters, like tornadoes. and how to plan for emergencies like flash floods. Remember, we're counting on you to keep us safe.
Be aware. Learn how to prepare at MadisonCountyEMA.net.
Another great sponsor for Madison County School Sports Television is Madison HVAC. Visit them at MadisonHVACR.com. By calling Madison HVAC, you always know you'll talk to the owner. Give them a call. This programming is sponsored by State Farm Insurance, Jerry Goble in Richmond, Luxury Pet Service, Richmond, Premier Rehab in Gibson Bay, CSEP, MadisonCountyEMA.net, Davenport Custom Guitars, Richmond, Richmond Tourism, Time Warner Cable, Madison County Schools, ScenicCabin.com, Faith Created Assembly of God Church, and Tatum Enterprises.
Welcome back to the Coach John Clark Show. I'm Samantha Burford here at Jack Burford Chevrolet. We're going to talk about the next game, big game, coming up. You can't imagine who that would be, right? I mean, just Pulaski County. They're only ranked, what, second?
Number 2.
Yeah.
Number 2 versus number 5
Yeah.
at Madison Southern. Been a
So you
long
got the
time.
home team advantage.
Yep, and it's been a long time coming for a game like this in Berea. A lot of hard work has gone into the last 3 years to get this program to this point. I hope everybody in this county comes out to this football game because it deserves to see a game like this. This
Right.
will be one of the best games, if not the best game in the state Friday night.
I agree with you. I
It'll be a
mean,
good
and
game.
we're all excited about it. So
They are
everybody
a
at home.
very high-power offense. Riley Hall's their quarterback. In my opinion, he's the most underrated quarterback in the state of Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
He is only a sophomore, and what he is doing with this team is outstanding. He was good as a freshman last year. This kid's going to be an outstanding football player. He's extremely accurate. He throws into small windows. He's got great ball handling skills. He understands their offense well. They check in and out of runs and everybody thinks they're a passing offense, but they run the ball very well and are very balanced, actually. They had 500 yards of offense. 259 passing, 258 rushing last week.
Right.
So they're a talented team, and they're well coached. You know, Johnny Hines does a great job with his ball club.
Right. So not only is it a big game, but it's also homecoming.
Yeah, it's homecoming.
So
Yeah.
that's, I mean,
Yeah, when we set the schedule, I think a lot of people try to schedule cupcake teams for homecoming. I'm not a fan of that. I think homecoming is a great game to make a big game because who doesn't love a big crowd at a big game anyway?
Right.
Let's put a little extra weight on it.
Right.
So I like that. I like high state games like this.
So now with homecoming, you guys will get a little extra time for halftime.
Yes, there's a 5-minute extended halftime.
Are you happy about that?
Well, I mean, it's good in the sense that you get a little extra time to make adjustments if you need it. Typically,
Right.
we can make our adjustments and we're ready. Staff's ready before we go into halftime, typically. We know what we need to fix.
Right.
The problem you can run into is it's good to have a little extra time, but then you also can lose guys out of your locker room for.
I was getting ready to
I think
ask
we have
that.
5 guys that are homecoming king candidates.
So they'll be out there on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I told him, I'm telling him the other day that one of you king, the other one's the joker, and I mean, you guys need to, you know. So we're like the whole court, I think, which
Right.
is no, it's great for our guys. We have a lot of outstanding young men in our football program, and they deserve that recognition. I just hope they deliver the crown to the locker room because if we have to make adjustments, we got to make adjustments.
Exactly.
So we'll do what we got to do.
So when they come off, you just grab them and have,
Yeah,
have your coach
they'll
just
do their
grab
thing,
'em and
but
say, "Here's what
as
we're
we need to make
adjusting."
adjustments, we'll get them right away or
Right.
get them when they come off the field. We'll get them taken care of.
Because they don't change and dress up like the other teams. They'll actually be out there with their
Oh yeah, absolutely.
they'll still be in their football uniforms.
Absolutely.
So they don't have to wear the coat and tie like the rest of the gentlemen on the homecoming court. So that's a bonus.
Yeah, so we've got a parade this Thursday. So there's a lot of other activities going on.
Right.
So we try to keep distractions to a minimum, keep the schedule as close to consistent as we can. I don't worry about it this week. You know, you take a game like this. We lost 36-37 last year. We lost the district because we lost this game.
Right.
We've been looking forward to this game for a year. There's nothing that's going to distract us from being as focused as possible for this football game. Our staff and our players.
So you're ready.
We're ready.
That's exciting.
They will get our best effort as we will get theirs, and we'll find out who's going to come out undefeated and
Right.
probably, you know, considered one of the top in the region to move on out of this region. You
Right.
know, Harlan County's still doing an outstanding job. I don't care what their record is; they're still the team to beat. You know, it's funny. Last time Pulaski County lost last time Madison Southern lost, we both lost to Harlan in the playoffs last year. So it's kind of ironic that somebody's going to lose to the other team this time. But this will be an outstanding football game. I think they're one of the top 3 scoring offenses in the state, regardless of class. But then I think we have an outstanding defense. So and our offense isn't too shabby either.
No.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens Friday night. But it will be a good game, and we could see each other down the road again in the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, this very well could be that you could play again for it all at the end of this, so in the region. So we'll just have to see what happens.
So this is your second to last home game on the regular season.
Exactly.
So the
Friday after that is North Laurel.
Okay.
North Laurel is senior night, and then we go to Lincoln, and then we are in a bye the last week. So we've only got 3 more.
I know the season's gone by fast.
3 more guaranteed before the playoffs start.
Right.
Here. So.
Well, we
exactly.
wish you the best always. We're excited, and we thank you for being here. Is there anything else before we close?
No, just continued support from the fans is awesome, and the kids feel it. I mean, we are undefeated right now at home and on the road, but at home for a reason.
Right.
There is a home field advantage at Madison Southern now. It's exciting when we're warming up and everything's going on around the program, and you smell the grill and the fans are full, and there's people that we don't have enough bleachers. I don't know if you noticed it. We're not like Central now. We don't get goal line to goal line bleachers, so we're 30 to 30, I think. So we've got chairs lined up around the goal line, the end zones. That's an
it goes all the way
that's
around.
an awesome atmosphere with people wrapped up around us. It's pretty neat when we get down there on the goal line to see our fans down there.
Well, and I think it's even neat after the game. I mean, people are excited to get out of the stands, to get to the end, and greet your team as they're coming off the field.
It is great, and the kids enjoy that too.
Yeah,
Their
they're
friends
all
and
right
family are
there. Their
as well.
family's there. Friends, girlfriends, they're all ready to cheer them on and say, what a great game.
And I don't think there's been a bad game at Southern
No.
this season. I don't think there's been a bad one yet. They've been pretty exciting, and they've stayed that way as the game's gone on. So
And it just keeps getting better.
I hope that's the case. This game Friday night will come down to turnovers. Turnovers and who can control the emotion, and who could not turn the ball over, I think.
All right, I'm going to quiz you. Do you want to predict a score?
I don't predict scores.
Okay.
I have no idea. Hopefully too much to not enough.
Exactly.
So.
And it's going your way.
Exactly. That's
The
only way I
entire
think
game.
of it. So, yeah.
Well, I know you are a very positive person, so I know that you and your team think that you're going to win and know that you're going to win.
If it's 1-0, or
It
if
counts.
it's 80 to 79, it doesn't matter to me.
Right.
It's just a matter of having more than they have.
Well, we wish you the best.
Thank you
like
very
I said
much.
earlier, we thank you for being with us and continued success. I mean, what a great program, and it just keeps getting better.
It is. It's getting better.
Yeah.
So thank you.
All right. All right. Thanks for watching the Coach John Clark Show. I'm Samantha Burford, and we'll see you next week. Hi, I'm Samantha Burford with Madison County School Sports Television, here today with head coach John Clark.
And I'm here to tell you to watch Madison County School Sports Television.
This program is brought to you by Hopper's Jewelry, off the EKU bypass in Richmond.
Natural hazards can be scary, especially for kids. We count on the adults in our lives to help keep us safe. That's why there's a website that can show you and your family how to prepare for all kinds of hazards. You can learn what to do during disasters, like tornadoes, and how to plan for emergencies, like flash floods. Remember, we're counting on you to keep us safe.
Be aware. Learn how to prepare at MadisonCountyEMA.net.
This program is sponsored by Jack Burford Chevrolet, right here in Richmond. And by Clayton Homes, in Richmond on Big Hill Avenue. This programming is sponsored by State Farm Insurance, Jerry Goble in Richmond, Luxury Pet Service, Richmond, Premier Rehab in Gibson Bay, CSEP, Madison County EMA.net, Davenport Custom Guitars, Richmond, Richmond Tourism, Time Warner Cable, Madison County Schools, ScenicCabin.com, Faith Created Assembly of God Church, and Tatum Enterprises. This program is sponsored by First Gear in downtown Richmond and Pro Signs in Southern Hills Plaza.
Hello everyone, I'm Madison County School Superintendent Elmer Thomas, and I want to thank you for watching Madison County School Sports Television.
Follow Madison County School Sports Television on Twitter, or like us on Facebook, MCS TV, and of course, watch all of our videos on YouTube.